We are now going to talk about 0, 1, and few shot prompting. These are common prompt engineering techniques which we have also used in the previous lessons. We are now here to define what they are and which ones are better. 0-shot prompting is when we ask ChatGPT something in a more conversational way, providing actually zero context, and ChatGPT has to respond with some information that it doesn't have. And I'll give you an example because right now it's a bit abstract. Let's give a practical example of 0-shot prompting. So I'll go ahead and type, the basketball has a lot of weight. What's the sentiment of this sentence? As you can see, ChatGPT is going to simply reply that the statement is neutral because it's just indicating that the ball is heavy or substantial. There is no clear positive or negative sentiment attached to the statement. However, the reason ChatGPT has replied like that is because I have 0-shot prompted this sentence and it has given me a wrong answer. Inside ChatGPT, there is enough information to understand that the basketball has a lot of weight is a negative sentence. And the reason for that is if a basketball has a lot of weight, it doesn't bounce well. However, ChatGPT seems not to recognize this in this specific sentence. So if I go ahead and type, what are the consequences for a basketball having a lot of weight? And ChatGPT replied that it's difficulty in handling, fatigue, injury risk, and impact or technique. So if I now go ahead and copy and paste all of the things that ChatGPT has just told me about what happens when you have an heavy basketball, and I then ask GPT, considering the difficulty in handling fatigue, increased injury risk, and the impact on technique, which is exactly what GPT has just told me, the basketball has a lot of weight. What's the sentiment of this sentence? ChatGPT is going to add and reply that the sentiment of the sentence is generally negative. It implies that the basketball being heavier than the standard regulation weight is problematic and undesirable. And this is 1-shot prompting, when you give more context to the large language model, which in this case comes directly from ChatGPT. I've literally created this paragraph in another chat. And that's the reason why you should always add more context to your prompts. If you create a 0-shot prompt just like this with a sentence, and then you ask a question, whether it may be a sentiment or something else, it might simply give you a wrong answer because it does not know precisely where to pick the information from. Even if I didn't know what are the consequences for a basketball for having a lot of weight, and I'd like to know what's the sentiment, I'd simply ask GPT, then copy and paste the information, and then simply say, considering all of these that you've just said, what's the sentiment of this sentence? And as you can see, ChatGPT is going to give you a precise answer that considers all of the data that you have previously given him. I want to emphasize that ChatGPT sometimes doesn't know which data to pick, and the reason is simply a short and not precise prompt. If you make your prompts longer, give context that you don't even need to write yourself, I want to highlight once again. You can simply ask for context to GPT and then ask it to critically think about the sentiment or whatever you need. And this is 1-shot prompting, providing context and then asking a question. And when it comes to few-shot prompting, is as simple as adding more context. So for example, in this case, instead of only adding what happens to a basketball when it's heavier, I could also add what happens to a tennis ball or whatever other ball in any sport. Or I could also add some physical laws which explain what happens when a ball is heavier. The more context you provide to GPT, the more precise and accurate your answer will be. If you provide a short prompt, you're going to have a small and not detailed nor correct answer. Another way to use few-shot prompting is to teach something to the model from scratch. One of the first ideas that come up to my mind is if you're trying to create a book for kids or something like that. In a fictional world, you might want to create new words which have no meaning in real life. And to create these, you simply need to provide context as we did before. However, instead of providing real context, you're going to provide fake context. So in this case, I could say the verb froodling, I completely invented this, means jumping up and down in a happy manner. Provide me an example of this word being used. So if I now go ahead and hit enter, as you can see, Buzz couldn't contain his excitement when he heard about the news about his promotion. He began froodling around the office, his joy evident in every bounce. As you can see, as you provide context and information to the large language model, he is going to understand and apply as soon as you ask. You could also go ahead and type more context around the verb. You could ask it to conjugate it to all of the tenses that exist in the English language. Or you could even ask the large language model, I'm inventing a verb, please help me come up with a definition for the verb. And you can create a verb together and then feed once again the description to GPT, and it's going to flawlessly implement your verb. I could also go ahead in custom instructions, copy it here, save, by of course enabling for new chats. I go right here and I ask it, what does froodling mean? And as you can see, he's going to type like that, my definition, and also a slight add-on that he decided. So that's how you can teach ChatGPT new stuff from completely scratch and how to get good responses which are accurate by using one and few shot prompting.